What's up, y'all? We are here. We are your hosts, Dr. Ranyel and Nevaeh. And we are here. We are your host of Everything.Real, where we have generations discussing topics that are real, relevant, and relatable to everybody in this age, y'all. We just keep it real while we're in here chit-chatting with you guys. So what's up? How y'all doing? We in the building on this good Sunday. What's good, folks? What's good, babe? How you been? I feel like I've been missing you. The older you get, like the more you're not home. I feel like I don't even really see you hardly.
It seems like you want that to happen sometimes,
yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, sometimes. And so look, guys, today we're talking about communication. Communication between parents, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, mothers and sons, just communication between the generations. And we know that that is a big thing. That's something that if I can't be honest, seems broken right now. It seems like there's a disconnect when it comes to communication between parents and children. But can I tell you that we still need it? As a mom, I still need to feel like I can talk to my kids. I still want to talk to my kids. It's crazy. Sometimes I tell Nevaeh, I'll do a phone check and I'll be like, let me live vicariously through you, you know, let me go back to my teenage years. But as parents, we want to be able to communicate with kids because here's my take on it, okay, babe? I think as parents, we need to communicate with our kids because whether y'all like it or not, we want to feel like we know what's going on with you at all times. Like, I want to know what's going on in my child's life, in their minds at all times, because I never want to be caught off guard. I never want to not know and then it be too late, you know? And so what's the big thing when it comes to communication for y'all?
I think the biggest thing is an open mind, because how we used to act when you were our age isn't the same way how we act nowadays. And the willingness to have an open mind and be able to find different ways to talk to your kids or different ways to interact with them is probably
So let me ask you this. Do you feel like communication is needed for y'all with your parents?
Because
we hear y'all. We talking. We getting this thing going. You know, here at Everything.Real, we keep it real. There's no filters. There's no changing up stuff. Y'all gonna get it raw. Like y'all, we might start fussing one day. Y'all never know. We be like that sometimes.
Okay, back to what you were saying.
What do you feel that communication is needed from a child's point of view or from a teenager's perspective? Do you think that you should have an open line of communication with your parents?
I would say yes, and maybe yes, because it'd be helpful to, as a lot of old people say, they've been where you are until they know more anticipation. A lot of times I don't like to believe that because we just don't like to believe it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that stems from a lot of kids feel like negligence, or they've been neglected, so they feel like they can do it themselves, and so they have this complex to where they're like, I don't need anybody, I don't have to have anybody do this for me. So they break that communication with their parents, and they don't want to be able to relate, for lack of a better term, to their parents. And even if it's not related on a situation or an occasion, it's just sometimes it may be seen as weak nowadays. That's just not like generational thing, not with everybody, but I can see why some kids would not want to talk to their parents, because it may be seen as weak to get mommy's help or to get daddy's input or something like that.
I hear that, I do, but it's true. It's true when we say we have been there. Now, granted, we may not have gone through the exact same situation. And 1997, when I was a sophomore, versus 2022, I'm telling my age. When you're a sophomore, granted, the society is different, but the lessons, the principles of life, they're still there. Like I told y'all all the time growing up, I said, You want to know the difference between a smart man and a wise man? You remember that? You don't remember? You're making me look bad on the camera, girl. I used to tell my kids the difference between a smart man and a wise man is that a smart man learns from his mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
If he do something wrong, he learns from it. He may not ever do it again. If a smart man runs in the middle of the street and get hit by a car, guess what? He's never going to run in the street again. So that's a smart man. He learned from his mistakes. But a wise man, what's the difference? A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. Look, I don't have to go through it. I don't have to touch the fire to know it's hot. You told me it's hot. You touched it. You found out it's hot. I don't have to do it for myself. I'm going to learn from your mistake and not do what you did. And I think as a parent, that's what we try to give to you guys. We try to say, hey, don't do that because that's going to hurt you in the long run. Don't do that because that's going to have a negative impact on your life in the long run. But what I find is that the more that we do that, the more y'all push back at us.
And I could say that's because y'all may have the right motive, but the delivery is not as well as it could be.
Okay, talk about it.
Okay, so because I know not for everybody, mama, but this one right here, she can't help but yell. She can't help but talk hard. She can't help but talk hard and yell and she is a sincere person, but she's not. Anyways, if you come to your child trying to give them this life lesson, talking all hard to them, it's basically going to be seen as lecturing. Even though that's not what you meant for it to be, then it could come off like that. She tells me a lot about my tones and how you say it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I guess take that advice.
Oh, I should take my own advice, right? Okay, I'll take that. So parents, you hear, we're getting the perspective of our children right now, is that a lot of times it's not what we're saying that they reject, is our delivery, is the approach that we take that they often tune or turn away from or tune out. And so let's try to make sure, guys, we're learning in here, they're learning in here. This is the whole point of Everything.Real. We connected and we're bridging generations, trying to come up with discussions and topics that we can learn from one another. And so when we're talking with our kids, let's make sure that we're approaching it correctly. Because look, I remember, I'll tell y'all a story. One time, I can make it long if I want to. One time I was fussing at Nevaeh, and she's right. I'm a teacher and a preacher, so I naturally vocalize loudly when I'm, and so I'm fussing with her, and I'm telling her, you did this, blah, 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 take this. And she was like, she's trying to talk back while I'm talking back. And I said, shut up, stop talking to me. And she's like, what, I can't justify myself? That's her. She always got a response, you see. And she was like, so what, I can't justify myself? And I said, no, you can't. And y'all, after I did that, she got quiet, she cried, she went up to her room. I'm sorry, she didn't cry, she just shed a couple of tears. She whimpered. Like, yeah. Okay. So after I went to my room, I talked to Trent, and I'm like, why don't we let them defend themselves? Why don't we let them justify their actions or what their thinking was? And the only answer we could come up with was because that's how we were taught. We were taught we could not talk back. We were taught we couldn't justify ourselves. We were taught that if your mama or an adult told you were wrong, you just better take that. And that was it. But what we have now is that now we have a generation of kids that when they get stopped by the police or if they get in a situation, they don't know how to communicate properly with someone. They resort to hollering and fussing and cussing because they have never been taught how to communicate their thoughts or their actions properly.
One thing I do see this on social media, a lot of kids, when their parents do that hard talking and basically what she just said, they what's I'm trying to say? It's a hatred being formed. I see a lot of my peers during social media, they hate their parents for that, and they say, I'm never coming back home, or she's gonna wish she treated me better, or it's communication may seem small, but it's really a big deal in a child's mind because it's communication. It's how you talk to your parents. It's how you interact with them. And if you're constantly getting fussed at and feel like it's all your fault, are you going to want to talk to them? Are you going to want to interact or be socialized with them or socialize with them? No. So that's why you see like kids in their rooms or by themselves or on their phones, and they could be talking to you, but they're not.
Christian in the back pointing, yeah, mama, yeah. Look, I'm learning, y'all. I really am. And so what I try to do now, I'm still an old school fool. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I listen, I still get my point across. And what I try to tell my kids now is that let me speak. And then once I'm done, respectfully, you can tell me. Respectfully, we can talk about your actions or why you did what you did, why you said what you said or whatever. And so what I've learned is to allow my children to communicate with me, to have that open dialogue with me in a respectful manner so that they feel as though they're still being heard. Because parents, a lot of times our kids feel like they cannot speak to you because they are not heard. That we don't allow them to speak their minds. We don't allow them, even if it goes against what we believe is right, we have to let them speak and then develop that communication and create that dialogue right there. And that's when we exchange our thought processes and the way we feel about certain things. But if we never let them think, or we never let them speak, guess who they will go speak to? Their friends, social media, the people that they meeting online. They're gonna speak to somebody, just won't be to you. And you're gonna be wondering why y'all becoming distant and why y'all relationships seem to be, getting weaker and weaker. And it has a lot to do with y'all's communication. Another thing I found, and you may not recognize this, but a lot of things that I learned in parenting is that we have to talk to our kids, with our kids, but not at our kids. And when I say by that, everything we say to our children should not always be a demand or a task or something for them to do. But it should be a time where we're talking to them, we're getting to know them, because guess what? They're growing. And as they're growing, you're going to have to grow with them and you're going to have to learn them, right? Because I guarantee you, Nevaeh is not the same Nevaeh she was in 3rd grade that she is in 10th grade. Nevaeh got some attitude now. Nevaeh got some talk back now. Nevaeh is smart and wise, and she has her own thoughts and her own beliefs about things. And so I can't just continue to talk to her the same way. So as she grows, I have to grow with her. And so, Bea, I want to ask you, how important do you feel having open communication with your parents about anything? How important is that to you guys?
About anything, it should be very important. But like I said,
let me ask you this.
It's not the same.
What stops you? What prevents a teenager from talking to their
Being
parents?
Judged, 100%. It's probably, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's probably why. Being judged, because especially nowadays, you have a lot of kids who don't think the same as their parents. It's not all politics, it's not all sexuality or religion or whatever it may be, but the fear is probably being judged or feeling like your parents are going to shun you for what you say or what you believe or how you carry yourself. But that's probably
so how we fix that. What in your parental utopia, how would you want your parents to respond? No, utopia is like the perfect world.
Dystopian society, because like on The Giver,
Utopia is like the euphorium and the perfect world.
No, like you ever did you read The Giver in like middle school? Like all the kids are perfect and
I don't know. Well, in your perfect world, how would you want your parents to respond when you're talking to them about your beliefs or your sexuality or your political status? Because a lot of kids don't believe politically the same way that their parents believe. How would you want, if you're having that genuine conversation with your parents, how would you want them to respond?
I would want my parents to be open-minded, even if they don't think the same way. Like behaved debate. Not even debate almost, but I feel like you should go, this is what I think. Oh, okay, even if you don't agree, you should be like, oh, okay, but let me tell you why I think this. Or the kid can be like, let me tell you why I believe this. And then y'all find common ground. And then you're like, okay, well, we believe 2 different things, but don't disrespect the other person, don't cross these lines, or just come to a mutual agreement that doesn't always necessarily being the shunning of the kid or the degrading, or like you're wrong and I'm right because I'm a parent.
Oof, that's a big one right there. How many times have we done that? Shut up, sit down, don't ask no questions because I'm the mama and I said so. And when the child just really wants an explanation of why should we believe
it's
that?
The same
why
for
should
the parents though? Because a lot of kids these days don't have that. I see it with my friends. Like I heard a girl on camera, she's saying she can do what she wants because she's 18 and her mom can't tell her nothing. I looked at her like,
as long as you under these four walls.
Okay, it goes the same way. You have to have respect for your parents.
Absolutely.
And it should be the parents have respect for the kids, but either way, there's the difference.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Look, there should always, I can't stress it enough, be a line of communication, be an open dialogue for communication with your kids. Because listen, they're gonna grow up and you're gonna realize that you don't know them if you don't stop right now and get to know who they are. I know with our kids, with our tribe, we ask them certain questions and they tell us they have friends who believe this, or they have friends whose religion or their faith is this thing. And we don't say, oh, you better not hang with this person because this, or don't do what they do because I said so. When we explain it to them, we say, hey, make sure you're not falling for that because here's why. Here's what we believe and here's why we believe what we believe. Even when it comes to like the idea of homosexuality, we didn't just tell our kids, oh no, you can't like another girl just because that's what we said. We don't do that in this house. Did we or did we not?
No, I do give my parents credit for that because they're very good at, what is it called? They're good at explaining, and especially on like hot topics of the world right now, like abortion, sexuality, all that kind of stuff. They're very good at explaining why they think this way and letting us explain why we think another way. And I think that is another reason that I can talk to my mom about stuff like that and not be embarrassed or feel judged because she makes it like she makes it easy to like relate and have an open mind to where she's like, okay, why do you think this way? Even if I do, she's like, okay, let me tell you how I think and why I think that this is right. And in the end, I'll be like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. And I'm not saying it's meant to change your mind, but a lot of times it helps.
So look, guys, this is our time. If you haven't learned anything from the podcast today, learn this. Communication is key. Talk with your kids. Kids, talk with your parents. We want to know. I will apologize for every parent out there and say we don't have all the answers and we don't always get it right. A lot of us, we are learning as we parent. We are like, that old song say, we learning our man as we earn our man. We learning our children as we raise our children. We're learning how to do. There's no handbook for this. And so I can say for parents out there, we don't know everything. Most of the way we parent is based on how we were parented. And I had to call my mama and tell her one day, Lil, I'm sorry, baby, but you didn't do it all right. You did some things wrong back in the day. I came out good, but there was some stuff you shouldn't have been doing. And so I will say we don't always get it right, but give us grace and we will give you grace if we have that open line of communication and we can talk to one another. Understand, listen, we talked about being able to talk to our kids and kids being able to talk to our parents. Parents, we learned that it's not about what we say that they reject. It's the way we say it. It's our delivery and our approach. So let's check that. Let's try and figure out Google different ways to address, I'm serious. Google different ways to address hot topics. Look, they may say, talk about it over dinner or talk about it in a general scenario, like bring up a story. I know when we had a hot topic to talk to Nevaeh about, and Trent did it, she'll tell anybody. If somebody else going through something in the family, first thing Nevaeh will say, oh, take him to Dunkin', take the coins out. Because he had a whole little object lesson that he did with her to explain his point of view on something. And so be creative in how we're having those conversations with our kids, because if we don't have them, the world will. And you have no control of what the world tells them, but you can control the communication that occurs in your home. Look, that's our time, y'all. We love you. It's been real. It's been everything real. Babe, you got something fun before we go out?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We love y'all. Until next time, we out. Peace.